Chicken Little is a movie that many of us vaguely remember interacting with at some point in our childhood and then never again. But for those of us who dare to revisit this fever dream, like me, you probably had some questions. What are the implications of this fish that nobody else can understand? Like, he goes to school. What are the rules of this dodgeball game? And who is naming their child Foxy Loxy? But my biggest question was how? How did this movie get made? Because this is not the Disney I know. Personally, I could never recall the story of this movie beyond the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Because honestly, what plot? In the 1 hour and 14 minutes that this entire thing runs for, it goes from father-son baseball movie to apocalyptic alien invasion disaster film? What is going on here? And then on top of that, they still decide to dedicate half the runtime to these chaotic sequences where characters are either running from or towards death.
In one instance, an entire family of lemmings was sent running in fear. But unable to find a cliff, they instead began throwing themselves from the nearest park bench.
Interesting choice for a kid's film. The movie doesn't make a lot of sense, and clearly a lot went awry here. Like, seriously, I don't think I've ever seen a movie with so many errors and mistakes listed on their IMDb page. It's crazy. The internet did not let a single keyframe slide, as they do. But regardless, I must admit, I don't hate the movie, okay? I don't hate it. I do find it kind of charming, to be honest. There are moments that made me chuckle. There are moments that made me go, poor chicken. And there are moments that made me want to rip my hair out of my head and feed it to the wolves. So if they say that art is supposed to make you feel, who am I to say that Chicken Little isn't pure art? And I think I just have a soft spot for this little weird chicken. Because after watching the movie and hearing all about what really went on behind the scenes, I just feel so sorry for Chicken Little. So where some people might see a disaster, I see a survivor. See, when this movie was in development, Disney was going through some stuff. Leadership changes, increasing competition, failing projects, and just like a child caught in the middle of a divorce, Chicken Little was just trying to make it out alive with as little emotional damage as possible. It's so sad to think about what this movie could have been if adults just learned how to shut up. The original concept of the movie was actually quite different. So let me break it down for you and watch your heart break in real time.
I'm not a freak. I'm not a freak. No way. I'm not a freak. I'm not a freak.
Heads up, dudes. Freaky kid talking to herself.
Inspired by the European folklore Henny Penny and his own personal relationship with his daughters, writer and director of the movie Mark Dindal initially wanted Chicken Little to be about this highly anxious young girl who suffers from panic attacks and constantly thinks worst case scenarios. She pulls the whole Chicken Little thing, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. But unlike the movie, it's actually an acorn. Then to redeem herself in the eyes of her dad, she goes off to summer camp to build her confidence. But turns out when she gets there, all of the sheep counselors have been abducted and replaced by a wolf in sheep's clothing. And they want to fatten the kids up for a good old buffet. Ultimately, Chicken Little obviously saves the day. I know what you're thinking. Thank God they didn't go with that version. I'm kidding. I know. How did they take this thoughtful, meaningful movie about the complexities of adolescence and turn it into this chicken shit show that it is? Well, I'll tell you how.
I wanna really wanna sing.
It all went downhill when Mark Dindal and Randy Fulmer took this chicken across the road to Mr. Michael Eisner. This guy is a very controversial fella, but I'm not gonna get into it. Y'all just need to know that at this time, he was Disney's CEO. And so what he said went. And what he said was that Chicken Little needs to be a boy and not a girl. Now, there's a couple reasons floating around as to why he said such a thing. One was because he thought that the issue of being small was a bigger problem for boys. Okay, whatever. But then also, apparently, according to some sort of market research that Disney had conducted, they concluded that girls will go see a movie with a boy protagonist, but boys won't see a movie with a girl protagonist. I'm sorry, what? No, I'm sorry, what?
I just sat down. I'm just getting started. It's delicious, though. Thank you.
I'll just go fuck myself.
Sorry, what?
Mahalo.
What a bullshit thing to say. And you can bet that Dindal and Fulmer thought so too.
If you're small, that's a bigger problem for a boy than a girl. Girls can be small, and that's not considered a huge problem. You've got much more if you've got this little guy who's got something to prove, whose dad doesn't believe in him, and since he is our boss, he won. He won that argument.
Oh, bruh. Look at this poor guy. He's experiencing some PTSD right there. Him and Chicken Little, they have a lot in common, you know? Oh my god, and they kind of look alike too. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. But anyways, they made the change, figured, hey, you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, right? I just love how many chicken puns I'm gonna get in here. I'm sorry. If there's a chance to do it, I'm gonna take it. Now, the implications of this change run deeper than you might think, because one of the worst things about this movie is the relationship between Chicken Little and his dad. It is toxic as hell. And like I said before, Dindal initially wanted to make it a father-daughter story because that's what he knew, that's what he understood. So changing that was, quote, like asking him to make a movie about African natives. In my opinion, this is when Dindal really lost his way on the project, and he done never make it back. Disney underwent a bit of a regime change around this time where Tom Schumacher was replaced by David Staten as president of Disney Animations. This mother is responsible for shutting down the studio that made Lilo and Stitch. So you can thank him for the fact that we never got a season 3.
Why are you fighting?
Because he ruins everything.
Not my fault.
Then whose fault is it? Your dad's.
I fucking hate this guy, actually. I really don't like him. And while Eisner might have had a few suggestions, Staten, yeah, he scrapped the whole thing. Called it a train wreck. Mind you, they would have been working on this thing for like 2 to 3 years by now. So can you just imagine working on something for 2 years and then this guy swoops in and just says, oh, this is shit. You guys gotta start over. Start from chicken scratch. Oh my god. I got another one in. But you know what's so funny? Here's the tea. The guy that Staten replaced Schumacher, on his way out, he apparently said to Fulmer, hey, listen, the whole gender swap thing, that sucks. That really sucks. But with this guy in charge now, I'm sorry, I just don't think your movie's gonna survive. Like, how the hell do these people get these jobs, you know? So I feel like most people would have just given up at this point, but the Chicken Little team was super determined to see this movie leave the nest. But they obviously didn't want to ruffle any feathers at the same time, so they committed to a full redo. Like I said, that's 2 whole years you're never getting back. Oh my god. If that didn't break them, I don't know how working with Staten for the next few years didn't. But it didn't. During this redo process, they pretty much Frankensteined a bunch of ideas they had for the movie together, along with trying to manage Staten's awful ideas. And it all just starts to make sense now because the story of the movie is just so freaking disjointed and discombobulated, and you just wonder, where are these ideas coming from? And you realize they really were just coming out of thin air. But listen, by the time the story was developed, they only had 2 years left in production. Just for reference. Shrek took over 3, the Bee Movie took over 4, and Tangled took over 6. So 2 ain't shit, my dude. And on top of that, because this was Disney's very first time making a fully CG animated movie, people were actively learning how to computer animate as they were making the movie. If you do look at the animation style of Chicken Little, it is this very interesting representation of the transition period that Disney went through from 2D to 3D animation, because there was like a lot of internal politics going on at the same time as well. There was one side that was really excited to innovate and, you know, explore 3D animation, but then there were traditionalists on the other side who were pretty dead set on preserving the hand-drawn culture that Disney was known for.
It was really important for us to keep that 2D sensibility because it's part of our legacy.
Animators that are now animating 3D animation, but we have such a heritage of 2D animation, we figured out ways to introduce drawing right back into the process, and there it is.
And I know a lot of people drag the animation of this movie, but honestly, I'm kind of into it. There's something unique about it. Like, the textures are weird and I like it. There's like this weird bounce to it. It's like bouncy and I don't know. It's like...
Who are we talking about?
And as if Chicken Little wasn't already fried to a crisp, it was also subject to some intense scrutiny by the studio. You see, Disney had a lot to prove with this one. Like, quite a bit. And they put all their eggs in this basket. For this was Disney's first ever fully CG animated film, independent from Pixar, who at the time was responsible for producing all the movies that were pretty much keeping the lights on. Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., The Incredibles, like those movies, you know what I'm saying? And what Disney was releasing at that time was just not holding a candle, like not even close. I mean, there were some like cult classics around that time, like Brother Bear, but Ultimately, money talks, and Brother Bear, she whispered. There was also external pressures from other studios like DreamWorks, who had just released Shrek. And I do think Shrek is relevant here because if you watch Chicken Little, you can see the Shrek influences right there. So the relationship between Pixar and Disney was getting sour. And Steve Jobs, you little menace, he was not afraid to throw some shots Disney's way, being like, yeah, basic. Contract's almost up, so you can either go find a nice nursing home or admit that you actually need us. And then Disney, obviously being the stubborn old prideful goat it is, was like, ooh, you'll all see. So when Chicken Little finally premiered in 2005, all eyes were on this little chick flick. And now box office wise, Chicken Little actually ended up performing pretty well, especially for Disney, which is wild to say considering where Disney is now. Oh my God. It made 40 mil in its opening weekend and debuted at #1, being the first Disney animation to do that since Dinosaur 5 years prior. Do you guys remember that movie? I remember having the VHS for that. God, I'm so old. But I had the VHS but never watched it because I would see the movie and be like, what the hell is this nature documentary doing here? No thank you. Anyways, all in all, Chicken Little grossed around $314 million, which is not something to scoff at. No sir. But critically, this thing got roasted. Roger Ebert gave it a 2.5 out of 4 stars, which honestly is not so bad. And I think he put it best. The movie did make me smile. It didn't make me laugh, and it didn't involve my emotions or the higher regions of my intellect for that matter. It's a perfectly acceptable feature cartoon for kids up to a certain age, but it doesn't have the universal appeal of some of the best recent animations. Honestly, fair enough. Although it did make me laugh, but perhaps my intellect just doesn't reach that high. But anyways, Chicken Little grossed $340 million on a budget of $150, which would be fine if not compared to The Incredibles that was released just the year prior, which grossed more than double that on a smaller budget and was critically acclaimed. So at the end of the day, Disney didn't exactly lose, but I wouldn't exactly say they won either. And as prideful as Disney might have been, unfortunately, pride don't pay the bills, so they ended up buying Pixar, and that would have catapulted Disney into the world of 3D animation as we know it today, but also sadly marked the death of 2D animation at Disney forever. Which is why we couldn't just get another Lion King movie in the original art style. Don't piss me off. Right, so I'm not that interested in hashing out the entire story of Chicken Little. And if you're one of the few people who hasn't seen it, but for some reason you're watching this video, I mean, thank you, but honestly, it's only 1 hour and 14 minutes and people still put a lot of work into it. So I think it's worth checking out. It's still a fun movie. Despite everything, it's a fun movie, okay? You just can't take it too seriously when you're going into it. Because I want to dive into the movie that we should have had. Because I don't dislike Chicken Little for what it is. I resent it for what it could have been. And it could have been great. Chicken Little should have been a girl. She should have remained a girl, and Michael Eisner just did not get the vision. If you don't get it, just say you don't get it, okay, Mikey? And from what I know about the original concept, I do find it kind of weird that he said that Chicken Little should be a boy because being small is a bigger problem for boys. When in the actual context of the original story, I could argue that it's more of a problem as a girl. His size in the final movie is more or less used as like a comedic device that allows the film to inject these visual gags, or to highlight the resourcefulness and tenacity that he's had to adopt in this like completely ableist society, by the way. And you know, I'm pretty sure they also thought the merch would be kind of cute. But in the better timeline, her size is used as a physical manifestation of how small and vulnerable she feels on the inside. And it just accentuates how scary the world is for her. Because she's like the size of a cockroach. Look at her. I think she's actually even smaller than the final version of Chicken Little. She is so tiny that she requires her entire body weight to just press one key on a keyboard. It's so cute. Press on your keyboard right now. That's the weight of Chicken Little. But you know, she's so cautious and intimidated by the world around her and thinks worst case scenarios all the time because she has had to in order to survive.
I don't know. I'm an easy target.
Just like almost every other girl in the frickin' world, you know? And that's coming from a shorty myself. Something that Mr. 6'2" old chicken breast in a suit might not have understood. The original character of Chicken Little was complex, flawed, relatable, and could have given Disney just like this amazing opportunity to address these issues of mental health amongst young kids. Themes, by the way, that would prove to be incredibly meaningful 19 years later in Inside Out 2. God, why am I crying? But for some reason, that whole element of the story got cut and they did a complete 180. Chicken Little in the final version is completely unrecognizable. He's fearless and ridiculously optimistic and basically everything that the original Chicken Little is trying to become. So it's like, where do you go from there? Boy never grows, there's no arc because, like, why would he need to? He's small, but like, what can you do about that? He causes this massive town disaster, but ultimately he's always been right. And he has this deeply dysfunctional relationship with his dad, but it's because his dad is a major asshole. But the original Chicken Little makes a lot of mistakes, a lot of legitimate problems that she's fully responsible for. And it not only just makes for a more interesting character and character arc, but it also makes the other people around her so much more sympathetic. Whereas in the final version, Chicken Little is like the only character you can stomach and everybody else is the worst. Which brings me to the worst. Buck freaking Cluck.
That's bad parenting.
And I should know.
This man might honestly be one of the most hated Disney characters of all time. Like at least top 10. And you know what? I hate him too. He is a selfish, neglectful, pathetic excuse for a father. He even tells Chicken Little at one point to just disappear. Just go away.
Yeah, game of hide and seek, except the gold is never to be found. Ever.
Rather than concern himself with how his 13-year-old child might be feeling about the entire town bullying him. And the only time he shows Chicken Little even a little bit of love is when he wins a friggin' baseball game. And can I mention his behavior at this baseball game? Really pissed me off. When Chicken Little goes up to bat, he's just like, oh my god, I can't even watch. Oh, this is horrible. And everyone's like, don't swing, do not swing, don't even try because you're so hopeless. Ain't no way this happens in real life, by the way. That's the one comfort I have for an 8th grade baseball game. Sir, calm down. Now, one of the most painful things about Chicken Little is that there's a lot of deleted scenes, extra footage, and original concept art out there for people to just find. And it just pisses me off because you just wonder what is going on with the decision making at Disney. Because I don't think I've seen a movie conduct a character assassination so pointless and damaging before. Now, there's no version of Buck Cluck that's like the perfect father, but in earlier versions, he is miles more likable. There's a couple deleted scenes out there where you can see him actually trying to be a good father.
Okay.
Next
wait.
comes the tricky part.
Tricky part? What tricky part?
Dad, it's actually fine. I could just have feed.
It's okay, I got it.
Like, you know, it's not award-winning parenting or anything, but at least it's him trying and we can see that. Versus the version of him in the actual movie who just could not be more apathetic to his own parental responsibilities. Honestly, somebody at Disney must have some real dad issues and they just took it out on Buck. And when he finally apologizes to Chicken Little, for f***'s sakes, he literally won't even shut up about it.
Okay, what now, son? Who, by the way, I support 100%.
But would you believe me if I told you that there was actually a version of Buck Cluck that might have actually made him your favorite character? I know, right? The original version of Buck Cluck is, dare I say, sympathetic, kind, relatable. Just a father trying his best who clearly still loves his daughter unconditionally. You know, this Chicken Little doesn't have to win no baseball games to earn love points, okay? In the final version, everybody is so hostile to Chicken Little, seemingly for just this one incident, and so it feels so cruel and unusual. But in the original story, it's a small detail, but it makes a big difference. It's made clear to us that this happens quite a lot. Like, this is something she frequently does on a daily basis. And Buck has suffered emotionally, physically, and potentially financially too.
Oh, don't they realize she's just a little girl?
Yeah, I know. A little girl that did $3.6 million in property damage this month alone.
Well, we can't just give up on her.
And so we can't help but actually empathize with his situation. And like I said, he's not perfect. He has temper issues and he rages and he says things that he shouldn't say out of anger.
I had reason to be upset. Last night I was attacked and thrown down the stairs because I was a space alien coming to put her brain in a blender. The night before, she thought I was a werewolf coming to suck her blood. When that imagination of hers takes over, it's dangerous to be around her.
But you can see where it comes from. The man is human or chicken. And despite how much he suffers, he still goes out of his way to make sure that Chicken Little feels comfortable and safe. And in the original version, his wife is actually still alive. I don't know why they killed her off. She serves no purpose dead. You would think that he would try to be a good father in her memory, but he doesn't even do that. He just looks at a picture of her like, oh, if only you were here. he'd actually have a parent who loves him. Because his wife in the original story serves as a very nice balance to Buck. Somebody who actually holds him accountable and keeps him self-aware enough to be able to take a step back and be like, oh, I'm not the only one with problems here.
Shame on you! Great things come from great minds. She'll surprise you someday, you'll see. That imagination of hers is a gift.
Somebody who would remind him that despite the fact that he's going through a lot, that's no excuse to stop being an actual father.
Daddy?
Hi. I wrote you a letter. But I thought you might not want to see me. I didn't frighten you, did I?
No. What's it say?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too, Daddy. I'll never embarrass you again, I promise.
Oh, it's okay. Chicken Little, really. You're my little chick, so it's okay. Good night, sweetheart.
Good night.
Train wreck. Train wreck. What about that was a train wreck? You're the train wreck. Okay, well, I think you guys get it by now. Chicken Little could have been something special, but due to greed, corporate politics, and incompetence at the highest of highest levels, its heart was gutted out and replaced with tangled drain hair. Just a mess. So if any movie deserves a remake, my God, it is Chicken Little. I'm manifesting it and I want the original concept. I'm sure Dindal would be more than happy to do it. He himself has gone on record to express how much he regrets not fighting for the original concept. So let's just do it. It's actually the 20th anniversary, so what better time, Disney? Come on, Disney, do it for me. Do it for the people. And you know what, if you can't do it for those reasons, then goddamn, at least do it for Foxy Loxy.
She got her brainwaves a little scrambled during reconstitution, but no worries, we can put her back the way she was.
No! She's perfect.
Lollipop, lollipop.